Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Rossignol Jibsaw. This board features Rossignol's AmpTech Elite camber profile, which is 70% camber with 15% rocker in the nose and the tail. Basically, it's cam rocker, so you're going to get that load and snap of traditional camber underfoot, while you're going to get that rocker out in the nose and the tail that's going to make it a little bit easier to press with, give you an optimal powder / slush float, and make it a little easier in and out of turns. This board is available in 150, 153, 155, 157, 159, 158 wide, and 162 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a sunny bluebird day with warmer temps, perfect corduroy, basically hero snow. It was the most ideal conditions you could probably ride any snowboard in, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. With this board you have that standard run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-road, all-mountain freestyle flex. So you got a little bit softer tip and tail that stiffens up about midway back from the tip kicks. So basically just outside that camber zone through the middle, and there's a moderate amount of torsional flex. It's not an overabundance, but it's not underwhelming where it's like stiff and rigid. It's just a moderate amount, which lets you twist the board. And compared to years past, this board feels a little more stable. Sure, you get some chatter out in the tips, and it slightly reverberates back underfoot. In really rutted out terrain, keep your knees bent because you can get knocked around. I mean, it tries to stay on top of everything, but it can get knocked around. So be aware of that, but overall, it's a park board. It's stable for a park board. They added more camber to this board, which means you're gonna get a little bit more snap in my opinion. Now, you do have to load that camber zone up, and when you do, it activates that rocker point, so you get a little bit more spring off the tail, or if you're doing a nollie, like off the nose right there. It's not a full skate-like pop. You're still getting that load of traditional camber, and it's gonna rebound. But you will notice that it does have more pop than previous years, so when you send a cat track gap, a side hit, a roller, you're gonna get a little bit more spring out of it. And when it comes to jumps, this thing's great for small, medium, large-ish. I mean, super mega booters, you might want something a little bit stiffer, but overall, this board has more pop, which means when you hit the lip and use it the right way, you're gonna get more snap, you're gonna get higher up in the air. This is a board that has no problem getting you in the air. Just load that camber zone up, pop when you get off the lip, let it throw you up in there. You're gonna go a little bit higher and a little bit further with it. One of the big things to note that's different about this board compared to previous years is they shrank that rocker zone. By shrinking it, you shrank the sweet spot that this board had for locking into butters. It puts it out way more towards that contact point at the tip and the tail. So you wanna get your weight a little bit more out towards the nose or the tail when you get sideways. And as it has more camber, it's gonna have more pop out of any butter variation you do. It doesn't necessarily fight you, but it does wanna spring out of it a little bit more. So when you're pressing into it, be prepared that you're gonna pop a little bit more. So when you're sideways, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna wanna spring. Go with it if that's the way you wanna go, or just be aware that you're gonna be sitting right on that flex point where the rocker meets the camber and putting a little bit more effort into it. Like I said, it doesn't fight you, but it is prevalent and you will notice it. Now, when it comes to jibbing, same kind of concept. You're gonna have your weight outside the binding when you're on your nose or your tail doing a press, and it's gonna have that snap out of the end of the feature. Be aware of that. Also, understand that you want to use a little bit more speed than previous years when you press on this board. It just feels better if you come into things a little more hot. You can just put that added oomph and speed back into the board, get to the end of that feature, and then spring out. When you go sideways, this board cradles perfectly around the feature. You feel it just hug right around it. You understand that it feels locked in. It's gonna slide just fine. It doesn't clap out, but you got this bigger camber zone, so now you've got a little bit bigger of an area to get it to lock in with. This board doesn't feel as quick and nimble as it used to. Now it's more precise and more locked in. Part of that is the change in the actual shape of the camber, as well as they changed the serrations in their edge tech. So you don't grip as much out at the tip of the tail. It brings it back in where the serrations are more defined, And this changes the dynamic of how you're carving with this board. So when you're on edge and you disengage that front, you've got more grip through the center and back through the tail. This is going to allow you to really rail that carve and stay locked in. You're going to notice that it just feels more locked in. Now with that said, this board can handle tight, short, quick, medium setup carves, just nimble edge to edge transitions, mellow to medium hard carves, and even deep Euro carves. It does them all with ease. It's a blast to ride. The side cut feels dialed, and as I said, you feel more locked in on this one. This is a deck that if you need to turn with, you can turn and not have to worry about overpowering it. Who's this board for? The park rider that does it all. This board isn't as playful as it used to be. They changed that dynamic with adding more camber, and they changed the grip on edge. So you lose some of that playfulness, but what you do is you get a board that grips better on edge and has a little bit more power and snap to it. It changes the dynamic of how this board presses on a rail, so you've got a narrower sweet spot to lock in, but the presses feel more locked in. They feel less likely to slap down on it. Overall, I think this was the right direction, adding more camber to this board. It gives it more pop, it gives it a different feel, and it makes it more versatile. Comparable boards: the Jones Mountain Twin, the Capita Indoor Survival, the Rome Agent. Finding recommendations: the Rome Vice, the Union Force, the Ride C8. This has been my review of the Rossignol Jibsaw. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you going to buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.